Hey there. So it's I don't know, it's like 12:30 in the morning. And obviously this is when I get all my best shit done. So here I am. I needed to make another Tine Weeder as it is. I have my 3-inch Tine Weeder that you might have seen, but I need one that's a little more narrow. So I'm going to go down to 1.5 inches. I'll make another one, make it nice and easy. I apologize for my talking because I'm a little sick right now. But we're good. So this is really simple. I had somebody that had asked how to make it because they're actually pretty expensive to buy. I've got, this is a piece of pole from a roof rake. So this is 4 feet long. And these guys are great because they have these little holes here that you can see. One on each side. And that's absolutely crucial to making your Tine Weeder. I've got my rake, my roof rake pole, duct tape, because every single thing on a farm is fixed with duct tape at all times. Needle nose pliers, although any sort of pliers would work just fine. Actually, I should probably have like linesman's pliers, but I don't know where they are. So, big adjustable wrench to do some real fine-tuned crimping. And I use 14 gauge electrical fence wire, which is, in all things considered pretty cheap. You can get like a mile for 40 bucks. So we use a lot of wire. So we take this wire, we get our approximate middle point. For this sort of thing, I use my cut off lumber pieces. It works as, obviously you can see how straight I cut. It works as a nice little jig. So I'm going to take my center point of my wire, somewhere around here, use my little jig that's just over 1.5 inches, and kind of just form your wire around that. Now the interesting thing about fencing wire, I use my hands a lot. It's really strong shit, so you kind of have to get it on a hard surface or use a like a rubber mallet or something. But the best part about adjustable wrenches, it's just a hammer and a wrench at the same time. So that gets your approximate shape that you're going to be working with. From here you can kind of fine tune things a little bit. That's where it comes into having your needle nose pliers. So I'll just take those, hold a piece, bend the other piece with your thumb. If you're not familiar with electrical fencing wire, it's very rigid, but it actually will end up breaking if you move it too many times in the same spot. Like if you move a spot and twist it or anything like that. So you want to get your bend in really well the first time, get it done. And this, believe it or not, holds up really well in soil. Mind you, I grow in compost, so I try and keep that really loose. But, so we've got this. From here, I go about 3.5, maybe 4 inches. And that's going to be the length of our little tool. And you're going to pinch one end for demonstration. This is what my fingers look like from doing this stuff without tools. So I'm going to use a tool. You're going to pinch just above your junction there. And you take your hands, and you can see how tight you can get fencing wire. You can use like a coat hanger or something like that. But fencing wire is by far the most durable wire you could be using for a cheap homemade tool. So you're going to wrap it around like 4 or 5 times, enough to get some rigidity to the actual structure. And you'll be left with something like this, almost like a TV antenna. Obviously it's a little wonky right now. I'm fine with that because it all gets fine-tuned once it's on anyways, and it's midnight. So this part's a little tricky. What you want to do is you take your roof rake and you want to actually join these together to be able to get into your roof rake. And what you kind of have to do is do a little hook at the end of each one, Mind you, I say roof rake like it's some specified tool. Just get a pole and drill some holes in it is the is the easiest thing to do. So I've got a couple little hooks on this now. I'm gonna go in to our pole. And these holes they use to like adjust, you know, those little beads that you press in and you can slide the pole out. That's exactly what these were for. So now you use your Superman strength and push that fencing wire in as far as you possibly can. And once you get it in pretty well, you can start to bend those up a bit. Now, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't remember how I secured it the last time that I did this. Inside, because that's the important part. You have to secure it inside. I'm going to do what I believe I did, which was come down my pole. So I'm through those holes, came back down the pole, and I'm going to take each end and go, we'll do one at a time here. Pardon. So you can see I bent that end down and across. And I'll do the same with this guy. And this is where your nice big adjustable wrench comes into play. Mind you, I have the tools to be able to do this the right way, so you can withhold those comments if so needed. I just don't care to. It's a friggin' homemade tool. And for 20 minutes of dicking around with $0 input, I'm fine with it. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to wind them around one time. Now the thing about fencing wire, you see, I put this little like indent with my thumb. If you make it almost like a little fish hook like that, it's really easy to wind around. So in one full time around with that, and I'm going to go one full time around with this other one. And I would just go around a few times. This definitely isn't the way that I did it last time, but I'm okay with that. Until these guys meet. And you can just take your pliers, your fingers if you're so inclined, twist these guys real well. Like so. That's why I don't use tools. Crunch it down. Mind you, this is about as Mickey Mouse as tools can get. But to be honest with you, it's worked really well for me. You're going to want to jam this little tab into your pole. However you're able to do that, good for you. This is one of those projects where you know you're going to hurt yourself doing something stupid that you shouldn't do, but you do it anyways. Who doesn't like free tools? And who doesn't like easy weeding? All right, so I've got this generally wrapped in here. It's not going anywhere. Obviously, it has some wiggle in here. That's okay. That's why we use our super great duct tape. And the one nice part about that little bit of wiggle, and I'm actually going to try and get Some more of this in here. That little bit of wiggle is actually kind of nice because it gives you a chance to bite into your compost a little bit and then stop, you know, so it's not as rigid as you would think it would be, rigid enough to get the job done. I'm going to end up putting this in the vise afterwards to even everything out, but you know, 1.5 inches, it's perfect for getting through tight beds. Like I said, everything in the world is fixed with duct tape. So you're just going to want to coat this baby real good. You can see in that other one, I didn't really, oh, you know what I did? I did another wire. Instead of doing these two, I used a second wire and did something with that. But this is more than adequate. And really, you go nice and tight with your duct tape. You've got a sturdier tool than Ace Hardware sells, so I can't complain. This all being said, if you have a welder, this would be a pretty easy job for you. So you can see it's a little more rigid now. I'm going to do once around again because I really I lean on these things and whatnot. And surprisingly, I weigh like 230. And I can lean on this thing and not completely break it. The nice part about the fencing wire is if you do bend it a little bit, you just bend it right back into place. So when you're doing your tape, right at the junction here where your fencing wire comes into the pole is where you want to get super tight. You can almost see my duct tape's like stretching. Pull it as tight as you can. And really what you're doing is holding these two tines together well so nothing kind of pushes them apart. And that's literally it. That's the whole tool. So I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. We've got 1.5 inches. Stairs are right next to me. 3.5 to 4 inches long. As far as being able to get into the soil, I usually get in like 3/4 of an inch. Maybe 1 inch if it's something real solid. But this is, you know, here's my free tool for you. Let me know if you have any questions, and let me know if you have a better way to make it. Because I don't have the time to put in more effort. It worked for me the first time, and it's never broken. And as you can see, you can mold it a little bit here and there as you go. But yeah, enjoy your tine weeding.